Jessica Quintero. I've been in the fitness industry since I was 14. I'm originally from Venezuela and I came to Canada 19 years ago. So I've been just doing everything here. Now I am a competitive bodybuilder and I've been competing at that level for about 4 years now. And it's my passion, and I'm a personal trainer. I'm also an online coach. So it's all related, right? Related to wellness. Yeah, so that's me. I have a daughter, it's 10 years old almost, and I'm also a photographer. So I do commercial photography and real estate. So yeah, that's basically it. I love what I do. I'm one of those like super lucky people that get to do what they love for a living, right?
Making that move, the move to Canada, that seems like such a, just a drastic difference in regards to obviously, geographically, but how was that just getting used to everything and figuring out maybe kind of like a new culture and stuff like that? I mean, what was that like?
It was an interesting journey for sure. When I first came to Canada, I came here with the intention of learning English because I used to work for a company that needed me to speak English. So I came here for a few months and I fell in love with Vancouver as soon as I came here. I'm like, if I ever have to move anywhere, it's going to be here. And it was in the back of my mind. I went back to school. I finished my master's and everything. And then I applied to come here. And within 10 months, they're like, yeah, you can go there. It's all good. So I sold everything and came over. And yeah, it's been good. Just getting here and, you come with like a background experience. And then you realize that you're not going to do that here. It's very different, right? So it's so many other things you have to do before you get there. So it was a journey, but it's definitely a journey that I'm grateful for because it's taught me a lot of lessons and it guided me to where I am now. And I just couldn't be more grateful to be where I am.
Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. What were some of the biggest kind of differences or changes that you had to adjust to when you initially moved?
You know what? The weather.
Yep.
Weather's number one for sure. It's pretty much summer all year round there. We have a little bit of rain around May and a little bit in October. And when it rains super hard for an hour and then it's kind of sunny, right? So I'm in Vancouver, right? A little bit different. A lot of rain here. The language, of course, that's another one. I had to learn the language in order to, just perform like any other person here, right? Um, Culture as well. We are very touchy. We love hugging and kissing, very affective, right? And I learned about the personal bubbles, and, just like keeping the distance and how sometimes a hug could be like misinterpreted into something else. So there was definitely a lot of adapting. And now my mom laughs because she said, "You're more Canadian than Venezuelan now," right? So I like took everything and I'm now part of the culture, of course. We do everything in community. So holidays, they're all in communities, right? Like Christmas is a big thing back home. Like families get together, neighbors get together. Like I'm in my house with my family, and then my neighbor has a big family, and we just kind of like go and party together for a bit, and we visit other neighbors. So it's like a big party for everybody. Here is very individualized, right? It's like every group, every family is just that circle. Some of them are very tough to like enter, I find. Same with friendships as well. I find like with friendships, it's mostly, it's like your friends are the people that you met when you were in like elementary school and high school, and then you kind of like grew together over the years. So when you come from somewhere else, It's like you're not part of that group. Like they might socialize with you here and there, but it's not like you are part of the group anymore, right? So I learned just to, adapt again, right? It's like now I have like my own bubble, right? So my bubble is me and my daughter. I have my circle of friends that are super close to me, and they have, I say, adopted me into their family. So whenever there is like a Christmas thing going on or Thanksgiving, that we get invited and all that. But there's definitely a difference for sure.
Looking back at Venezuela, did you feel like that even like fitness was in some sense like a different culture, or like health has like a different culture kind of around it versus Canada?
You know what? Not really, because in Venezuela, and I'm gonna say overall in South America, same that Central America, people are very, very into fitness. So it's everybody goes to the gym. I'm gonna say not everybody. Let's say 75% of the population goes to the gym, right? So personal training is a big thing. People do classes, and because of the weather, there is a lot of like outdoor classes. So you can go to like do Zumba or like a dance class or whatever. It's all outside, and they're like big events, like for example, the malls, they will organize all these like Sunday with the family, right? And there's like a fitness class, and then it's followed by like a dance class and things like that. So there's a lot of that going on, and bodybuilding is a huge thing back there. Like it's big. I didn't get to do bodybuilding down there. I was more focused on like the personal training and all that. So I started really getting into it when I came here. Actually, after COVID, that's when I started. But yeah, I find it's the same. Here is with the seasons, right? Like when it's winter, people get more active. When it's summer, they're active but outside. So there is that difference. I would say it's pretty much about the same.
Even though you didn't do bodybuilding back, when you lived there, looking back, do you feel like that, and even maybe now with some of the connections you may have from people in the area, do you feel like that bodybuilding, even just on like some small levels, is different in the sense that like maybe there is more of like a community feel?
No, to be honest with you, it's individualized there as well. So when you're a competitive athlete, like in bodybuilding, it's the same as here. So everybody's focused, their own goals, their own workouts. There might be more of like interacting with each other when it comes to like, let's go do cardio together, because that's something that you can do and there's no competition, I guess, right? But no, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same. One thing though is that there is a lot of when you're doing bodybuilding back there, there's a lot of sponsorships, which I find that is very different than up here, right? So when you're down there, like you get like different brands wanting to sponsor you, like it's a little bit more active in that sense. While in North America, I find that, you have to get to a certain level in order to get that support.
I wonder then maybe is it like people like bodybuilders are more in those cultures are more maybe like seen as um they're seen as more like figureheads, maybe like people to look up to, versus here maybe they're seen more as like, I don't want to say like not in the like a literal way, but that's kind of a weird thing to do where you're like you're a weirdo because you do that, or like we don't really understand that so much because it's, and also like there's not a, it's not a huge percent of the population in North America, specifically in America, United States, that is super active anyway. So maybe they don't get it. So there's not as like much value for a brand to sponsor the smaller athletes. I wonder if that plays a role at all.
Yeah, maybe I'm not sure exactly what the difference is because I've tried to like figure that out myself. Like obviously like you get support, I get support from brands and stuff like that, but it's usually with like product, like it's like a collaboration or the support is different. While I find that down there, if you're an athlete that is thriving, the brands want to grow with you. So they see your potential. They see you've been working super hard. Okay, she's like killing it. You know, her shows are great. She does good every time. She continues to work. So we want to invest into this athlete, right? So they'll pay things like, you know, your travel expenses or like your stay at the hotel. Then you get sponsorship from like the bikini people, you know, to get your suit or your hair and makeup. They do it here as well, but again, like you have to get to a certain level to get that sponsorship.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really interesting. So, moving up to Canada and getting more into the sport of bodybuilding, I guess what led you there? What led you to that path of actually wanting to start doing that, or where'd you even kind of initially learn about doing it?
I started super young, like going to the gym and training. I had my first personal trainer when I was 14. Then I became a personal trainer myself. And, you know, it's been like all my life. I've never stopped. I had a little bit of a break when I had my daughter. You know, I took a few years off and the other things. But overall, everything started. I wanted to compete when I was 18. I remember my personal trainer at that time. He was like, "You should do it. Like, I think you should do it." And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I want to." But you know, your parents are like, "You gotta get the career done, right? Like, go to university, finish your schooling. Back home, you have to finish your schooling. Like, you have to get a degree. That's like mandatory, like from your parents. They're like, you're not going anywhere unless you get a degree, right? That's the way it goes. So I did that, and I had no choice. And then, but it was always in the back of my mind. I guess it kind of went to sleep for a few years. And then when I came here and the whole COVID happened, I was doing CrossFit at the time, which is very different than bodybuilding. And I was preparing to go and do the Canada Games. They call it the Canada Games. And then COVID happened, so no training, everything's closed, right? I started training on my own, and then I found a coach and I was like, I think I want to try and do this thing. I think I want to try and do a show and see how it goes. And I prepared for that with no expectations. I was like, I'm just gonna prepare for it, see if I have a little bit of a physique to show up and see what happens. And that's how it started. And I haven't stopped ever since. It's my thing. Like I just love it so much.
Do you feel like that time of kind of being like if you wanted to do it when you're 18, you didn't get to do it, and then you kind of just generally train and then do CrossFit. Do you feel like that time to be active and build up, your muscle maturity and maybe build up some of these things that a lot of people getting into it that do get into it right away when they do just initially start working out in general? Maybe they don't have some of the things that you have because you have the experience of being in the gym and kind of working your body in different ways.
Yeah, definitely. I think it plays a role. Absolutely. Because even though I wasn't specifically preparing for, do bodybuilding, I was training my body all the time. So I've been like competitive athlete since I was little. I started playing tennis when I was 7. I played for 17 years, all the way till I was almost 24. So like I've always been into sports. I play soccer. I played everything. And I believe in muscle memory, for sure. So once I knew I started noticing changes like in my body when I started doing CrossFit, because of how much intensity you put into your body and stuff. And I knew I was like building some muscle, more muscle at that time. So it kind of helped for when I decided to prepare for the show afterwards. And there's definitely the experience of training, which is different as well. I think it makes a difference because of so many years of training. It's like I got to know my body very well. So I know how my body reacts to a certain kind of training. I know how to feed it. I know how to, like fuel my body, right? I know how to listen to it when it tells me I need to stop. Like some people don't have that, it's like intuitive. And I think it came with like all the years of experience into fitness and training and all of that.
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. Is tennis a very popular sport down there?
Very popular, just as popular as soccer and baseball. There is a lot of tennis that's being offered for kids, especially. So like everybody starts super young because they have these like training programs where you can send like kids can grow into the sport and play competitive, right? So there is a lot of like tournaments that happen in South America. And same with like European tournaments. So like you win at a certain level, let's say like a regional level, then you go into the national level, and then you can go and play outside as well. So it's yeah, there's a lot of kids. I don't know now because I've been out of the country for like almost 20 years, and it's changed a lot in the last 18 years, right? But that's the way it was, yeah. And sports is a big thing back home to like keep the kids busy. So besides homework, which is a lot usually, then sports is like the second thing. So some kids will be doing baseball, like the boys will probably be doing baseball, or they'll be doing tennis. It's a lot of soccer for sure, like soccer camps and everything. So it's big, like sports, outdoor sports.
Is like physical activity and sport and exercise and being outdoors and kind of in that whole thing, is that still something that's prevalent, do you feel like, just from a people that you talk to? Or is there kind of the creep that has happened in, especially, here in America, you have all, all the technology and less people being active, and specifically kids, and kind of the downhill health slide that's kind of led to. I mean, if you do know like any information on that, like how is it back in Venezuela?
They have tried to keep the same as before. So I know they still continue to do a lot of outside activities. Just it's the weather, it's a weather thing. So they have that opportunity to be outside and enjoy the sun. So, they take advantage of it. And just up to now, like the malls are still organizing those Sundays, it's like family Sunday where everybody goes and do something at the mall. But it's not like shopping and being inside. It's like activities. They put like this huge stage, big DJs, big speakers, and then they have activities running throughout the day that are like physical activities.
That's really cool. That
Yeah.
makes me wonder, like, if it's more, if some of our problems here are more just the fact that we are so independent and so, like, kind of lost touch a little bit with the community aspect.
Yeah. I feel like there's definitely a lot of disconnection
Mhm.
from everything, from the world, from friends, from people, from disconnection from our own emotions. Like there is a lot of disconnection in general. And I blame a lot of it, like technology is a big part of it. I think, we got really isolated, especially after 2020. We were forced to like be inside and we had a device and we had the TVs and the kids had to do online schooling and the parents had to work from home. So everybody was in the same household, but everybody was individualized, right? And in their separate bubble doing their own thing. And I think we got used to that. And unfortunately, at that time, a lot of the kids got access to the devices, right? Like it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Like it's been great because now they know how to do certain things and they can look up for information and learn. And but on the other hand, there is the dark side of it, right? So yeah, I feel also that all of that disconnection has caused a lot of issues when it comes to like mental health, right? Anxiety, depression, feeling lonely, all that loneliness is all in the same bubble, right? For me, that's what I feel. So like in my case, sports and like bodybuilding and all that, it's something that helps me stay out of it. Like I do have an Instagram account, I connect with a lot of people on there, but my time, like at the gym, training, pre-competition, like I try to stay absolutely disconnected from the devices, right? And I have been trying to teach that to my daughter as well. My daughter doesn't have a phone. She has a tablet and she only uses it for homework. And when we're home, we're like, let's go for a walk. Like we go outside, we walk, we do cardio together, we go up the mountain, do hikes. We do a lot of activities like arts and crafts, painting. Like we try to keep that connection because I wanna teach her that. Sometimes she comes from the school. She comes home and she goes like, "Mom, I was so bored." And I'm like, "How come?" And they're like, "Everybody was on their phone. Like nobody's talking to anybody. There is no connection. She wants to
Yeah.
play.
That's
Everybody's on their phone, right?"
so crazy. I wonder now if like back in the day it seemed like teachers were always telling kids to be quiet. Now if I wonder if it's like the opposite where it's like
Yeah.
to just tell kids, hey, like have a conversation or like start like talking or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. And every time I talk to her and I tell her how it used to be before, right? Like recess when I was in elementary school was so fun.
Oh, the
Like we
best.
used to go out and play and throw rocks at each other and or play sports and like share our food and talk and gossip. And it was like you were like in touch with everybody the whole time. After school, you'll get together and go out and play with your neighbors, right? Like it's so different than what it is now.
Yeah.
I feel actually sad in a way. Like I wish kids had that back. Such an important part of developing as a human being.
I think we're heading in a good direction.
Yeah, I believe the same as well. I've seen a lot of changes, just overall, like, dealing with clients and all of that. And in the sense of a lot of like people, for example, like mothers that thought that, I already had a baby. I gave up on myself, right? And now they're like, okay, I gotta get myself back, right? So like they're getting themselves to the gym. They're making them that time for themselves, for their own wellness, for their own mental health, because they need that break, right? So it's definitely heading in that direction. And I hope it happens like that for a lot of like a big part of the community. Hopefully not just a small group.
Do you feel like that the things that you see people struggle with, do you feel like that those have like changed over time?
Yeah, I feel it's the same. That hasn't changed. It has to do, I think it's mostly people trying to, whether it's like losing weight or try to like get in shape, or if they want to now get ready for a show and they want to look, grow some muscle and look a little bit leaner. And I think the final goal is the same, and it's been the same pretty much over the years, depending on every specific individual. Um, Now, regarding what they lack, or what they bring up the most, I think is motivation. Motivation is a big part of my coaching, right? Like when I go in and I go and talk to my one-on-one clients or my online clients, it's always having that motivation to either start or continue. Some people will start and be there in like 3 months, at training, and then all of a sudden they'll give up, right? Um, so I think motivation and trying to build the habits and keeping up with the discipline, right? Like that's part of I want to say where most of my work goes towards is not about how much weight they're lifting and how many reps they're doing. It's more about the mental aspect of it, the mindset, right? I always say the mindset is huge, and that's basically um, putting it all together in there: discipline, habits, motivation. It's all in there, right?
You know what I think I find is that even personally, but especially when I'm trying to help someone, whether it's on a very structured basis or just general advice that I'm giving to somebody, it's more like how can I shape the actions, the food or the diet or whatever it is that I'm giving advice on. How can I shape that in such a way that actually generates motivation or generates discipline, right? Like if I can make this really easy, really simple and like as basic as I possibly can to understand and to do, like I think that's going to build discipline because it requires very little. I don't want to say very little effort, but it requires less effort than if I do something a very convoluted or confusing way, then it's hard to do. So it's hard to build discipline. And the same
Yeah.
thing true, I think, with motivation, where it's like if I can make something or try to make something fun or interesting, I think that's where motivation comes from because it's like it's fun, it's interesting. I want to do it. I have a motivation to do it instead of if it's boring, then there's no motivation to do it. So I think I find it's more like to me at least it's less about telling somebody, hey, you have to be motivated or you have to be disciplined. Like that's not going to do anything. It's actually like getting them to experience what that's like. And then I think most people like that when they do experience it. This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
Yeah, and it's normal for us, like as human beings, not to be motivated at all times. It's normal, like we're human, right? So I always tell my clients is it's not about being motivated. It's the discipline. Like the discipline is what brings you into the gym. The motivation comes once you start hitting the machines, right? Or you start hitting the dumbbells because you start feeling the pump and now you're feeling good and you have the music going and now you're motivated. But yeah, in those days when you're like laying down and you're like, oh my God, now I gotta go to the gym. I'm like, no, like your motivation should be getting up and thinking about, you know what? I actually get to go to the gym. I'm grateful because I can move, I can go there, and I can do stuff that other people can't do, right? I have the time. I want to invest it in myself, and I want to do something for me. That's your motivation, right? So it's funny. It's more about discipline, more about creating the habits and staying consistent than actually having the motivation. 'Cause you're not gonna have it every day, right? As a bodybuilder, like it's not easy. Like prepping for a show, for example, is a very tough process. Like prep can get really, really tough sometimes, physically and mentally. And the motivation's not gonna be there sometimes, but you still gotta show up and you still gotta get it done if you wanna win that show. Or if you wanna place well at that show, right? So it's all about the mindset. It's all about mindset.
What percentage of people do you think come to you with that deeper why versus the people that you kind of have to like lead to that for for them, like, hey, let's dig deeper, let's continue to work on this, or I guess what's the percentage of people that already know that when they come to you versus you kind of try to cultivate that.
You know what? I'm gonna say that most people come with an idea, or I'm not gonna call it an idea. I'm gonna call an ideal, right? They come with a picture in their head of what they wanna look like, and it's mostly always based on looks. It's like, I wanna look like this. I wanna lose 20 pounds. I wanna look like this girl on Instagram, right? Or I wanna look like you because they see you training at the gym and they're like, I wanna look like you. So that's what they come with. Very few people, I'm gonna say maybe 10% of people come with actually something that is deeper than that, right? Like, I want to feel good and I want to do it for myself and I want to build a habit and so that I can do it for life because I want to live another 20 years, right? It's very different. So sometimes I have to sit down with my clients on a regular basis and ask the same question. Okay, every month, for example, I'll sit down with my client and be like, what's your goal? Right? And then we revisit because sometimes it's not the same goal. It's not losing the 20 pounds. Now that they've been coming to the gym for 1, 2 months, now the goal is, oh, I actually wanna build more muscle. Or I feel really good. I love how I'm feeling. So I wanna now do it instead of 3 times a week. I wanna do it 5 times a week. So like things change constantly. That's something that I'm constantly like reviewing with a client to see where they are. And always reminding them why they're doing this. Because sometimes they lose motivation, right? So they go like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. Maybe I'll skip next month. And I'm like, why are you doing this? What was the original reason that you came to me? Right. And then once you go back there, then they're like, oh, it clicks, right? Oh, shoot. Yeah, I should not give up. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting. It's very interesting how the human mind works. And that's why I love what I do because everybody's so different and plans and training and the actual coaching is so individualized. It's so custom for every person, right?
I think it's really cool when you do start to see that person is developing like a deeper connection to what they're doing.
And I'm always telling them, I am so excited for you. It's like you have no idea because you have everything that you need to succeed, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes, like you get clients with like different mindsets, right? But when you get that person that is driven, works hard, and is gonna do it all, oh, I'm in. I love it. I love it. For me, every person's journey is interesting because there's always gonna be something different, and there's always gonna be things that we're gonna have to dig deeper about, right? It's like what is causing this, what is creating the stress, what is like whatever situation they're going through, and you gotta custom constantly, you gotta custom and change things for them to make it work and make sure that they are able to create those habits and that discipline. It comes over time. Like I find that I've had clients that they've worked with me for a year or two, and after that I tell them, I'm like, you don't need me anymore. Like you really don't. You know exactly what to do. Your mindset is there. You have the routine. Some of them say, oh, I can't live without going to the gym. I mean, that's success right there. It's like my job is done. So it's pretty cool. Every journey it's very interesting.
Do you ever feel like you have to keep somebody from like doing too much or like, okay, we want you to succeed, but doing 8 sets of this is not the way to do it. Just do do what's on this plan and you're going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. There are clients that are more on a more competitive level. Um, and I have had to tell them you need to rest. Like your body right now is asking you, is begging you to rest, right? So it's kind of hard because same, like I'm that way in the sense of I can't go a day without going to the gym. So like I know I have to rest, and my coach, because I have my own coach, he'll be like, "You get 2 days rest," and I'm like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do on those 2 days?" Right? I still go to the gym. I do stretching, I do my posing, I do a little bit of whatever motion, just like mobility and stuff. I still go, but in my mind, it's like I have to be there to do it, right? Like that's like my environment. So with that mindset, sometimes I have to go look at my client as well, and if she is in that same level or he is in that same level, then yeah, I have to, be the coach and be like, now it's for you. It's your time to rest now, right? Or I don't need you to do, 3 hours of this. I only want you to do 45 minutes, right? So definitely I've had that as well, where you have to kind of like, I'm not gonna say set a boundary, but it's like you have to put a stop for your client on there and remind them why there's a reason, right? So it's either your body needs to recover, or you're not getting enough sleep to push your body to that level right now. Like there's so many variables that you have to look after. There could be hormonal issues or like gut issues, right? All of this. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
I think it's interesting as like looking at that as part of the experience too, right?
There's a lot of misinformation as well. So there's always that trying to address people to like the right sources, right? As well as it's part of our job too. It's like, yeah, that's cool. That looks awesome on Instagram, but I would recommend maybe that you check out this other coach or this other trainer who's very reputable and have great experience, and they're explaining the exercises really well. So I always do that as well because there's a lot of misinformation too. Because I've been doing this for a big number of years. I'm not gonna say my age, by the way. Just kidding. I've experienced different kinds of sports and different kinds of coaches, and I've trained like different kinds of people and worked for different facilities, whether it's like gyms or rec centers or whatever. I've built my own way, of doing things, and I think the people that come to train with me is because of that way, right? So I'm open always to, share information. If I find something that is valuable, of course, I'm gonna share it with my clients. If there's an article, a YouTube video about form or anything like that, I'm like, oh, check out this. This is great. But as a bodybuilder myself, and because of the way despite of having coaches that help you, with your training and everything, I have my own way of training. And that's the same way I train my clients, right? Like it's always going to be different in the sense of I have an 80-year-old client, or I have a 20-year-old client, and their goals are different, but the foundation and the basics are always going to be my way.
Makes sense.
So that definitely, I'm gonna say yes. I have like my own compilation of information that I've built over the years, and that's what's worked for me. And I found that is effective and it works for the clients that train with me.
I think that's a great point is like people are coming to you because of what they see, whether it's you or whether it's your other clients, like, and they're coming to you because of like what you did and how you did it. Like, not that they necessarily care about how you did it, but they care about the results, but how you did it got the results. And so by continuing to do that, obviously you're going to get them the results. So that makes a ton of sense when you look at it from that perspective. Obviously, it builds outer credibility, but it builds credibility inward too, right? Like it makes you feel like this works for me, it works for other people. So that gives me more confidence in sharing it with more people that continue to come to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I mean, you can get plans from the internet, from Google. You can do Instagram, but there's always every coach gonna be different. Every trainer's gonna be different, and there's always something that's gonna make you different than the rest of the people. And sometimes it's all about like personalities, right? It's like my personality fits good with you. We have good energy, right? We align. Let's work together. Sometimes it's about the training and the goal, and we just focus on that. But yeah, it's different for everybody, for sure.
So, as a professional in this industry, looking back at the end of your career, whether that's in a day or, 100 years,
In a
um,
100 years.
what would you want your legacy to be and what other people say that you brought to their lives?
Oh, that's a deep question. Well, first, I'm gonna say I'm gonna be doing this till my body allows me, right? Like I don't believe in the numbers. I'm 47. I don't believe in numbers. I've seen people that I admire in the industry that are 65 and they're doing their bikini competitions and they look amazing. So like I'm looking forward to continue my journey for as long as I can. Eventually there's gonna be a point where of course I'm gonna have to retire, right? Hang the crowns. And I think the legacy would be I always say that I do my work and I share it now with people because of social media, right? I have that opportunity to share. Um, but I always work with the mentality of there is somebody out there that is getting inspired or motivated by what I'm doing, right? And it's super cool and super rewarding. But when you get messages from people or you run into like people at the gym and they go like, "Oh my God, like I've been watching you training for the last year and you really motivate me," right? So I think getting that inspiration in people, that people will look at you and be like, "I want to be like her," or "I want to train like her," this. I think that will be the rewarding part of it. And as per like bodybuilding per se, I mean, obviously, when you compete, you want to win, right? And my goal is always when I step on stage, I go with the mindset that I want to win, and I'm always trying to. I do my best to bring my best package. I don't I don't skip on my plans. I follow everything just to make sure that I bring my best physique. And I don't know, maybe one day in a few years, there'll be something, like a trophy with my name on it. Who knows, right? But I think that at the end of the day is more about the effect that you have in people and how people feel inspired by your journey. right? That's the main legacy, I think.
Appreciate you coming on and sharing tonight. It was great getting to chat with you and learn a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been great, and yeah, same. I hope we're always trying to do good for the world, right? So hopefully the message gets out there, and we do some good that way. Also, Instagram is Jessica Q Fitness. For my bodybuilding journey, I don't post a lot of my coaching stuff on there, but people can contact on there if they want to say hi or follow and see what we're doing.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.